Hey lovers, welcome to Tune In Tuesdays. Tuning in a little bit late today, I do apologise. I was in a session just prior to this Tune In Tuesdays. So as I tune in, as I've been tuning in to the energies around me and the messages that I've been getting, and also just listening to what's been happening for people all around me, I think it's something that's really, really important is to tune into how we show up in the world, right? So how am I showing up to this relationship? How am I showing up to this job? How am I showing up for myself, right? So it's really important. We often, and this is something that I work on a lot with my clients, we often become critical and judgmental of others and how they are showing up. Yet we sometimes fail to see that as a mirror and a reflection for us to actually look at how we are showing up, okay? Now, something that I want to touch on is something in relation to relationships, because it's really important if you are in a relationship with, whether you're married or you're dating, hi Robert, or you're, you have a boyfriend, or you have kids, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, right? But something that's really important for you to know is about that there's certain sins that we can, what's the word? We can commit. There's certain sins that we can commit in our loving relationships, right? Again, whether they're with lovers or children, that are really important to avoid. And these are, these are the ultimate sins against men. So let's talk about the ultimate sins against men. And these are the 3 C's. And they're from the lady who, they're from this book. I believe the book is The Great Development of Men. And I think, I'm just going to get her name for you, just in case you want to read any of her books or look her up. Alison Armstrong is her name, okay? And she's this amazing author and teacher she talks about the amazing development of men and the keys to the kingdom. And she talks about the development of women. And it's really important, if you want a healthy relationship with the opposite sex, that you understand what the opposite sex is all about, right? Because really, we have no idea who men are, and men have no idea who women are. And so it's really important that you learn how to understand the opposite sex, if that's the kind of, that's the person you want to have a loving relationship. You just should not be winging anything, really. Now, she talks about the ultimate sins, the 3 C's to avoid. And the 3 C's to avoid with men is criticizing a man, judging a man, criticizing, coaching a man, telling him what to do, and trying to control a man. Okay, so these are the 3 deadly sins you can commit around men. So if a man is feeling criticized, coached, and controlled by you, he's probably going to leave, because no one likes to feel like that. Like, that feels like shit. Yeah, it really, really does. And it's demasculating for a man to have a woman tell him what to do, right? So it's really important to avoid doing these things if you want to have a happy and healthy relationship with this man. Men like a really feminine woman. And those 3 things, criticizing, judging, coaching, controlling, they're not very feminine qualities at all, right? They're in fact quite wounded masculine qualities. So if you're showing up as a masculine and you're demasculating your man, there's a good chance he's going to move further and further and further away from you, right? So just something to think about. Now, the 3 deadly sins against women is to make them feel unseen, unsafe, and misunderstood, right? So women want to be seen. They want to feel safe in the presence of their man. They want to feel understood. They want to feel like, wow, he really gets me, right? So if you want a healthy relationship with her, don't make her feel any of these things. Excuse me. The minute she starts feeling these things is the minute she starts slowly pulling away from you. Okay? So I mentioned these today because it's really important to think about, well, how am I showing up in this relationship with this person that I love or want to have a loving relationship with? Like, how am I actually showing up? Because it's, we can look at how they're showing up, but before we engage into a conversation around that, it's really important to notice how we're showing up, because often just in us changing how we're showing up, will affect how the other person shows up as well. So it's really, really important to really think about that, right? Now, what I want you to do, that aside, I want you to now think about how you show up for yourself, right? So a lot of you might say to me, yeah, I show up great. I'm good. I take care of myself. I exercise. I eat healthy food. I show up really well for myself. But how do you show up emotionally for yourself? Are you loving and kind to your emotional body? Do you say positive things to yourself, or do you criticize yourself? Are you constantly disapproving of yourself? Yeah? Because if you are, you're not treating yourself in a loving way with respect and kindness, it's going to be really difficult for somebody else to open up and treat you in that way as well. Right? So today, I want you to think about, throughout your day, I want you to think about, how can I be more loving of myself? How can I approve of myself more? How can I compliment myself more? And I wonder what would happen if you spent a whole day just approving of yourself or complimenting yourself or saying loving things to yourself. I wonder what would happen if you spent a whole week showing yourself approval. Yeah? I wonder how you would show up differently if you spent a whole week showing yourself approval. What would happen? What would you open yourself up to if you gave yourself love and approval constantly, all the time? Because remember, everyone's our mirror, right? So if everyone's our mirror, and right now you're not feeling really loved and approved by others, what would happen if you opened yourself up to some love and approval by others? And when that came in, you actually just opened yourself up to receive it. So when someone says something nice to you, like, I really appreciate you, I really appreciate you, and you opened up and you just allowed yourself to receive that, how would that change you? How would that change your vibrational state? Can you? Can you actually open up and receive compliments? Or do you go, oh, don't be silly, no, I don't look great today. Or, oh, thanks, but it's just, this old scarf. Like how we just brush off compliments from people. Can you open up and allow yourself to receive it? Because when you receive a compliment and love and admiration and appreciation and validation, when you allow yourself to receive it, it changes your vibrational state. It actually makes you feel more empowered. So it's one thing to say, yeah, I can receive. It's another thing to really open up and actually receive it, right? So if you're watching, just drop me a little hello so I know you're here. I always like to know. I'm always curious to know who's watching. So tune in. Really spend some time tuning in. Now, if it's relationships you want to look at, how am I showing up in this relationship? And is that how I want to show up, or isn't it how I want to show up? And am I aligned to how I want to show up, or am I misaligned to how I want to show up? Am I in the integrity of who I am in this relationship, or do I need to change something? Because if you're not in the integrity in who you are, then the other person's going to show up not in integrity either. In fact, you're probably not going to like the way the other person shows up if you're not. So it's really important that you start tuning in and looking at everything as a mirror and a reflection and a message from the universe. Yeah. So good, Robert. Robert's just saying, after that, I'm starting to feel gorgeous. You do realize you've created a monster. Good. I hope I create more monsters because you deserve to feel gorgeous. Yeah. And the more gorgeous you feel, the more it's going to be reflected back to you when you look in the mirror, when you go out in public. People are going to start complimenting you, right? And saying, oh, you look really beautiful today. And you're going to be like, oh, thank you. And that might be uncomfortable. It might be uncomfortable for you to go, oh, thanks. But the more you receive compliments, the easier they're going to get. So yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in to Tuning Tuesday. If you have enjoyed, just give me a thumbs up. Giving me a thumbs up actually helps my channel grow, and it helps even more people receive these messages from the videos that I'm doing today. So thank you for watching. Sending you lots of love, guys, and I'll see you next Tuesday.